Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. Don't you just love Easter? It's my favorite holiday. It used to be Christmas until I began to understand the metaphysical interpretation of Easter. So this morning, my topic is Resurrection 2010, the sequel. The sequel. Okay. Last week, I ended my talk by saying that when Jesus realized what was to come, he said, "Father, if it be possible, take this cup from me." And then he continued by saying, "But not my will, but thy will." And I shared with you last week that had that cup been passed, as Jesus asked, it would certainly have made for a good story. But by trusting the universe as he did, it became the greatest story ever told. All right? So, the interesting thing, though, is that it's still being told 2,000 years later. And you have to ask yourself, why is it that this story has survived? See? Why is it that this story is still being told probably in every single church in some way, Christian church anyway, this morning? And in my title, I call it The Sequel. And I was thinking about the fact that if you go to a movie or you read a really good book and you're really enjoying it, sometimes at the very end of the movie or the book, you will hear the hero character say something that lets you know that there's more to come. That this is not the end of the story. Okay? And that's what this story is about. That's why I call it the sequel, for that very reason, because a sequel is a continuation of an original story. See, the story did not end 2,000 years ago. And that's, in other words, it's not just a popular story that was meant to be told over and over and over again. It was meant to be continued. How are we continuing it? Because it was left in our hands. Dr. Tom Sanner says in the source book of The Science of Mind, he says, the process that Jesus went through is the same process that each of us must go through, where his crucifixion and resurrection was explained in physical terms. Ours is psychological and spiritual. Our crucifixion is the crossing out of all negativity and fear. Our resurrection is the realization of our spiritual mastership. We become masters of the law. We become masters of our lives. Dr. Holmes said in seminar lectures, though, he said, most people want a resurrection without first having a crucifixion. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I don't want to let go of certain things in my life. I don't want to cross out certain things in my life. And yet we know that if we don't cross them out, we can't move forward. That there are certain things that we simply cannot move forward with. the new life that we are open and receptive to, the new life that we are calling for, we simply cannot move forward with such things as anger and resentment. See, that's some baggage that we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven as Jesus called it. See, anger and resentment keep us nailed to the cross. See, those are the very things that we simply cannot take. So what are we holding on to? What type of anger and resentment? Look at your life today. This is not just me up here talking. This is for us to go within and ask ourselves, is there something I'm holding on to today that is keeping me from moving forward? Is there someone I need to forgive that is keeping me from moving forward? Because those things, that's baggage, and that baggage is too heavy to carry where we want to go. The vibration is too high to carry that into that experience. So we have to start crossing out some stuff. Another thing we have to cross out is that whole concept that we're not enough. Unworthiness. You know what's so interesting to me is when I finally begin to understand something, I begin to recognize how many times I've been told that very thing before I finally heard it. And that's one of the things Jesus said. Every time he'd tell a story, he'd say, those with ears, let them hear. See, because just because we're listening doesn't mean we hear. I begin to recognize how many times that I've been told something, and as I'm thinking about that whole concept of unworthiness, that I'm not enough, that I need to be more in order to move forward, I began to recognize how many times I had heard it said in the Bible that we are God's. Know ye not that ye are God's? We heard it in 1 Corinthians. We heard it in the book of John. We heard it in the Psalms. Reminding us over and over and over again, don't ye know that ye are God's? And here we are believing ourselves to be unworthy. How could God be unworthy?